The worst ones win, not the kindest, not the most ethical, the most ruthless. You know that. Deep down, you felt it since you were a kid. In the subtext of school, the smell of office meetings, the emptiness of social media. You realized the world doesn't reward the most correct, but the most effective at appearing strong. The truth is brutal. The world was never fair. It's ruled by those who learned the game, not by those waiting for justice. And if that bothers you, congratulations. You still have a living conscience. But I have to warn you, that conscience, if it's not backed by courage, becomes a prison. You become exactly the kind of person Nietzsche described with pity, too tamed to fight, too moral to act, too passive to transform. Nietzsche spoke of two kinds of morality: the masters, who create their own rules, and the slaves, who wait for someone else to save the world. And today, guess which one rules the majority? You're surrounded by people quoting punchy lines, posting outrage, getting touched by pretty stories. But deep inside, they're powerless, tied up, living in a constant rehearsal of a courage they'll never actually express. Meanwhile, the immoral thrive, not because they're brilliant, but because they don't hesitate. They don't waste time trying to please. They don't wait for permission. While you think, they move. While you wonder if it's worth it, they take what they want. Not because they're better, but because they have no internal brakes. Seems unfair? It is. But it's also the rule of the game. And Nietzsche already said it. Those who don't understand power are devoured by it. Most people are trying to balance a personal conscience with a system that has none. You want to be good, fair, ethical. But the system rewards those who control, manipulate, and move like they own the place. And maybe deep down, you feel ashamed of who you are. Because your kindness feels like weakness. Your empathy feels like wasted time. Your sense of justice feels like a delay to your success. But what if I told you the problem isn't being good, it's being good the wrong way? Yes, there is a wrong way to be good. A way that makes you predictable, weak, disposable. And then there's another way, rare, dangerous, respected, that makes you untouchable. Because being good isn't about lowering your head. It's about lifting your eyes and saying, I understand power, but I'm not a slave to it. You'll have to choose between continuing to pretend the world is fair or finally learning to play it like a master. You don't have to become a monster, but you need to stop being invisible. Maybe the world doesn't need more good people. Maybe it needs good people who stopped shrinking. You spent your life trying not to disturb, trying to be light, agreeable, understandable, trying to fit in. But now look around. The people at the top didn't ask for permission. They walked through the front door or kicked the window in, not because they're better, but because they believe they deserve to be there. You know what separates them from you? They learned something no one ever really taught you. Power isn't a privilege for the cruel. It's a right for those who are awake. Nietzsche talked about this, about how the morality of the weak trained generations to believe that power is dirty, that every leader is a tyrant, that all strength is oppression. That's a lie. The problem isn't power. The problem is who's holding it. You're afraid to lead because you think it will corrupt you. But what if real corruption is giving up on who you could become? What if hiding your power is the quietest form of self-betrayal? You don't have to become one of them, but you have to stop hiding behind the idea that invisibility is noble. Power isn't about yelling. It's not about humiliating. It's not about destroying. Power is knowing you can and still choosing with awareness. It's standing in the center of the storm and not being swept away. But that takes something you've unlearned, the will to power. Nietzsche called it der Wille zur Macht. It's not domination over others, it's sovereignty over yourself. It's the drive to overcome, to expand, to build your own reality with clean hands and a heart on fire. You're not here to watch the world get ruled by those who don't care. You're here to prove that strength can have soul, that consciousness, when paired with courage, is more dangerous than blind ambition. But don't wait for someone to hand you that space. Don't wait to be invited to the table. The world doesn't invite those who don't impose. You'll have to decide Will you keep shrinking to fit? Or will you expand your presence until the world has no choice but to see you? Because what you repress in the name of goodness, someone else is already using in the name of domination. So, what's it gonna be? Will you keep saying, "This is just how I am"? Or will you start remembering who you were before fear tamed you? You want to change. You want to take a stand. You want to speak up, take space, be strong without losing your soul, but something keeps pulling you back. An invisible weight, a quiet voice whispering, "Don't be arrogant. Don't go too far. You're not that kind of person." And you believe it. You swallow that poison, dressed up as politeness. You carry guilt that was never yours. You feel guilty for thinking big, for wanting more, for feeling anger, for picturing yourself in the center instead of always at the edge. But let me tell you a truth few have the courage to say. That weakness wasn't born with you. It was taught. They trained you to be small from the very beginning. Since childhood, you were praised for being well-behaved, for not causing trouble, for not questioning. They told you ambition was ugly, that people who speak up are arrogant, that self-love is selfish, that power corrupts, and humility means staying quiet. But no one ever warned you, if you don't own your power, someone else will, and they'll use it against you. This is the game. If you don't master yourself, you'll be ruled by those who have nothing to lose. Nietzsche called it the morality of the weak, a belief system built by those who never had access to power and so tried to discredit it. And now, you carry that morality like it's a virtue, but deep down it's fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of being too much, fear of becoming the kind of person you judge in others, and so you sabotage yourself. You settle for less. You pretend you don't want more. You smile while swallowing your own truth. But the worst part? The world doesn't notice your purity. It notices your absence. You try hard to be fair, but you're only remembered when you're not there. You give everything, but you leave no mark. And the ones with the least awareness, they claim the most space, with noise, with arrogance, with inflated egos and empty words. And you, who could have been powerful with depth, strong with purpose, visible with truth, remain there, silencing the roar that lives inside you. But any strength that goes unused rots from within. It turns into frustration, into cynicism, into pain, into that tight knot in your chest at night when you ask yourself, "Where did I lose myself?" Here's the answer. You didn't lose yourself. You shrank to fit into a world that will never reward those who disappear. You've waited long enough. That's it. You've been quiet for too long. You've been hiding behind the fear of being too much for too long. You are not too much. You're just postponing who you already are. Wake up. The world's not going to stop and make room for you. You either walk in or get crushed. Not by malice, but by inertia. Because the real world, like the one you breathe in every day, full of masks and vanity, doesn't reward goodness. It rewards goodness with movement, conscience with strategy. Those who've understood that, ethics isn't passivity, it's the strength that refuses to become silence. You've known what you need to do for a long time. You just didn't want to become one of those people. But maybe as it's time to realize, that very type of person you fear becoming is exactly what the world forces you to become if you want to survive without betraying yourself. But there is another path. You can be the rare one. The one who's strong without being oppressive, who's just without being naive, who speaks softly but everyone listens, who walks into a room and changes the air, not by shouting, but by being whole. You could be the first in your generation to break the cycle of cowardice disguised as humility. The first in your family to sit at the table without apologizing for your own light. And you don't need to become someone else. You need to reclaim who's always been sleeping inside you. Courage is not about never feeling fear. It's about finally stopping living under it. And power? Power isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering your own existence. You weren't born to please. You were born to show up. With presence, and maybe this is your moment. To begin now. No more excuses. No more "when I'm ready." Because, I hate to say it, you don't have as much time as you think. There's something no one told you. The throne you fear already has your name carved into it, but it's still empty, waiting, not for someone better, but for you, unchained. It's not that you're not ready. It's that you're still apologizing for having something most people don't. A soul with power. You were trained to cancel yourself before even trying, to doubt yourself before giving yourself permission, to settle for emotional and professional crumbs because somewhere along the way, they told you wanting more was selfish. But real selfishness, it's hiding from yourself the greatness you already carry. Nietzsche called it the Übermensch, the one who transcends the morality he inherited, who kneels to no one, who becomes a leader not by force, but by refusing to be a hostage to the system or to his own fear. And the craziest part? You already are that person. You just need to stop running from it, because the world isn't ruled by the worst because they're stronger. It's ruled by them because the best ones are still trying to convince themselves they deserve to lead. What you hate most in the powerful isn't their power. It's that deep down you feel like you were born to be there, but never arrived, and maybe that's the most painful part. You know you have it all, but you're still living like you owe something, except the debt isn't yours. It belongs to a system that profits when you hide, that survives when you shrink, that grows when you doubt your own light. But that's enough. You've been too good for a world that's never been good to you. Now, be fair, be strong, be whole, and take the throne with your name on it, because what scares the world isn't you becoming evil. It's you finally becoming real.